All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Difficult Conversations by Supply the Y. Tonight we have we have a heck of a show in store for you tonight. We have Miss Ida Joyce. She's going to be coming on, and we're going to be talking about surviving the unthinkable. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring Ida up. Ida, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm honored to have you on. This is not like many other shows I've done where, yes, this is going to be a difficult conversation, but it's going to be difficult for many different reasons than a lot of the other shows that I do, in that we're going to be talking about surviving the unthinkable as a parent. So, Ida, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you here tonight.
My name is Ida Joyce, of course, as you just heard. I am a mother of 4. I have 3 older children besides Nicholas, my son that I lost almost 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years in May. Yes, 4 years in May this year. It will be. We lost him when he was 16 years old, along with some other friends in a tragic car accident. And I am a wife for, oh God, I think 28 years. I think it's 28 years.
Married to a wonderful man. Married to a wonderful man. I'm going to say it if you're not going to.
His name is Richard Joyce.
Great guy.
Yes.
So on that note, so you talked about the tragedy of the incident. I remember it well. I'll tell a little bit about how I learned about this. Was at the time I was a Stoughton police officer, which is we're neighbors essentially. It's the town that we both live in.
Yeah. And
I was the school resource officer for a little while Nick was in high school.
Okay.
And as well as, Eric, David, and Chris.
Okay.
So I knew all of them well. I remember I used to see them at the grocery store. Obviously they play sports, and I'm a lifetime jock, so there was an instant attraction to me and a few of those guys. So I can tell you that this, in my opinion, was probably one of the most tragic, if not the most tragic thing that I can remember in my 45 years. So that's how I came to learn of this. And I wanted you to just kind of walk me through your journey, walk me through how you found out and where we go from there.
It's funny. The day that the incident happened, I actually was at work, and I don't normally work on Saturdays. We had my coworker. I am a cake decorator by trade, and my coworker went on vacation, and they needed me to come in on that Saturday. And I was kind of upset because, I didn't want to go in. Saturday was my family day, and I ended up going in. And in the process, on my ride home, I remember I got next to the movie theater in Randolph, across from where Popeyes is now. And I got this, I don't even know how to explain it, like overwhelming sense of Nicholas. Like, it was just really weird. And I remember turning and looking at the movie theater and thinking, we were supposed to go see Avengers at that time. I think it was Endgame that was out. And he had been asking me to take him to go see it. And I looked over and I said, maybe that's a sign telling me I need to, get him to the movies so he could see the movie. Time, let's speed up. I get home, take a shower. Everybody's here. The Celtics game is about to come on. We're all sitting in our theater room, getting ready to watch the game. And I recall thinking to myself, Nicholas is not here yet. And it was starting to get dark. And he usually needs to be home by that time. So I said to myself, I need to go ask my husband what time he told him to come home. Got caught up in conversation with my boys somehow, and then ended up not going to ask him. In the process, we get a knock on the door. My son Chris opens the door, and when he opens the door, it's the police. I couldn't tell you. I don't recall names of police officers. I couldn't. If you put them in a lineup right now, that day was such a blur. I couldn't even tell you who they were.
Sure.
Unless they came to me and said I was the person who came and told you, I wouldn't know who they were. So they come in. It still doesn't click, and this is how it works when with believing that something terrible has happened to your child. It still didn't click to me. Number one, that they were at the door. They were asking if we were the parents of Nick, and they asked if they could come in. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, of course. So my thought when they asked if they could come in was, oh my God, they got him locked up. He did something wrong. Never in my wildest imagination was I expecting them to tell me that he was gone. So they come in. He says, can you, sit down? It still never dawned on me. And I can't recall, but I think when he said to me, Nicholas and them were gone, it still didn't click. Like I was just standing there like, no, 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 no. And I can tell you what everyone else around me was doing, but it was like I was in another world. I mean, I can't explain it. So that was how we initially found out they came to the house. And I just remember picking up the phone and starting to call family members and, telling them what was going on. And I think the hardest thing for me through that whole process was watching my family go through what they were going through, because my husband was just, he just was saying to the police officers, I need you guys to take me to where he is. I need you to take me to where he is. And, you got one kid over here on the floor crying. You got another two upstairs. It was an insane scene here. And, it was altering. It was a day that has altered all of our lives. So that was how we initially found out. And that had happened at like maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Other parents already knew. And I think the hardest part for me was that because the accident was so bad and there was so much damage to their bodies, I don't think we got to see Nick until probably almost 2 weeks later. As a matter of fact, we saw Nick the day before the funeral because they were trying to, repair things and to make him look presentable. And that was part of the reason why we ended up having a closed casket.
So I can't stress how sorry I am to even have this conversation, but
Yeah.
So you find out, what are those weeks like leading up to the services?
Family coming in, just trying to get your mind together, because not only were we preparing for our son's funeral, we were preparing for his friends' funerals. David got buried first, so we went through the process of being at that funeral and stuff. And once David got buried and we buried Nicholas, I couldn't do another one. Like I want to say my husband went to the other two. I couldn't go. I was just emotionally and mentally tired. I couldn't do anymore. The weeks leading up to that were just kind of like going through the motions. You had to go through the motions. You had to keep pushing. You had to keep going. I'll tell you one thing that that really, really meant the world to me. And I said I wasn't going to tell you this until I got on here. And I'm going to do my best to tell it without crying. I don't even know if you remember this. As we were coming into the cemetery, the limo got to the cemetery, and I think they stopped us for a minute or whatever. And there were several other police officers there. But you were there in the entrance when we were getting ready to come in. And as we got ready to come in, I remember, and I don't think I'll ever forget, You stood at attention and you saluted. And for me, that meant the world because like like it was said, they call those kids kings, they're 4 kings. And that just showed me the honor and the love from this town. I told my brothers and my sisters, I said, God knew what he was doing when he put us in Stoughton. He knew that this day would come, and being here, the support system that we have had from the people in Stoughton and from my family has just been amazing. But I just want to say thank you for that because it meant the world to me.
I'm going to talk or else I'm going to cry. And I really don't want to. But I told you we talked backstage how much those kids meant to me.
Uh-huh.
How much I enjoyed seeing them around town.
Yeah.
I remember one time I pulled a car over. I had a car on the side of the road and I hear, "Jenkins!" It's David Bell and the boys
Yes.
driving by. And that's what he used to call me no matter what, no matter if it was appropriate to call me that or inappropriate, like when I'm in the middle of a car stop. But that's the kind of relationship we had. And I made sure that that I introduced my son to them when I saw them. When I would see your son at his job.
Yeah.
With Eric. And I just, had you told me at the time that I wasn't going to have, and again, this is just me being selfish, I wasn't going to have the time where I could see them when they turned 21.
Yeah.
And I could ask them about some of the advice that I had given them when they were younger.
Yeah.
It's just unthinkable. But so let's go back. Let's get back to it. So let's talk about Nick a little bit. Tell us about Nick.
Oh, Nick.
Break it down
Nick
for
was a kid that just loved life. Anytime he could get to dance with his friends. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the videos. You probably haven't because a lot of them I had put on Life After Death, and I'm going to stop sharing those again. But many videos of him and David, they love to dance together. That was their favorite thing. I remember there's one that I have of them when him and Talia and all of them were at Wendy's. They were in the drive-thru going to get Wendy's. And Talia, I don't know who the other girl was. Talia, Nick, and the other girl got out. And they were in the drive-thru dancing. And I don't know who was videotaping it. And David's in the car in the passenger seat cracking up. And whenever I play that video, people are always like, we love seeing this video. This is one of our favorite videos. So that was the kind of atmosphere. They love to have fun together. Nick was a kid who was resilient. He went out and he tried for the basketball team. He wasn't the greatest at basketball. But he wanted to be on that basketball team. And when he found out that he didn't get on the team, he came home. And I remember I went into the room and he was curled up in the bed. His heart was just so broken. But what he did after that showed me who he was. He got up, he went back to school, and he decided, okay, I can't play basketball, so I'm going to really put myself into track. And he had found his niche. Track was his world. There are videos of Nicholas. Mike LaFleur shared a video with me one day. And in that video, I have videos that I've taken, but this video was taken. In that video, Nick's feet appeared as if they weren't even touching the floor. As a matter of fact, Mike said, when I saw the video, he said, I thought that someone had, sped the video up because Nick was just, he was moving so fast. It was almost like if you see the video, the other kids were kind of like coming along and Nick's feet, it was like his feet weren't touching the ground. he literally had begun to really put himself in to track. And when I say that, I mean he began to change his eating habits. I couldn't believe how he was, we went out to a restaurant one night. He's ordering salads and vegetables and stuff that he used to never want to eat, carrying around gallons of water, drinking water. Like he was really ready. He wanted to go to college in Oregon. He wanted to go to Oregon Dixie, and do track and stuff, and all of that stuff was just snatched away. But I think he had a great career ahead of him. And there was records he wanted to break.
Talk about the record. Your daughter Brittany mentioned the record
that's what I was going to say.
earlier.
There's a record at the high school for the top 5 fastest. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was either number 2 or number 3. But the numbers didn't come out until after he was number 2. The numbers didn't come out until after he had passed away. So he had reached that goal. So, that was just that was who he was. And he was a person who loved to in my office here, I have statements on my wall to keep me lifted up. I consider them like uplifting statements, or statements to encourage yourself. He would say stuff like, I just want to be remembered. Starve your distractions. Feed your what did we say? He would say, feed your focus, starve your distractions. And on his cleats, his running cleats, it had the word Grandiza. Now, Grandiza is a Spanish word that means greatness. And those were the things that he was beginning to see in himself. Those were the things that we instill in our kids, the greatness of who they are. And, I'm ticked off that I didn't get to see him go further.
Well, with that note, Ida, as we all are, somebody that you're very familiar with has a little help, wants to help you through this a little bit. So Brittany says that he was just like his big sister.
Yes, so, she ran when she was there too, and she did a good job too.
All right, so all right, Brittany, we see you too. All right,
their dad ran too. He was a great runner too.
I've seen him run. I've seen him run at the age he is now. He still can fly.
Yeah.
So from there,
do you know what his nickname is?
What's that?
It's Speedy.
Is it?
That's what they call him. Yeah.
Well, that's appropriate because I've seen the man run in the flag football tournament. So Brittany corrected us and says that it's actually the Oregon Ducks where he wanted to go, and that's the University of Oregon. The significance is that's one of the great track programs in the country.
Okay.
So that makes sense, and they have very heavy Nike ties there. So I'm going to hit the chat a little bit, Ida, because people want to say hello. So Frida Walker says that's awesome. We have Mike. Mike says, thank you for sharing your stories. So another Mike, the Mike you referred to earlier, has a comment. He wants to know, how much did the love and support from your family, friends, and community in the early days help in the grieving process? Hashtag for the boys.
Yes, that was a tremendous, tremendous support. And it still is. I mean, right now, because COVID is going on, like the kids haven't been able to come around and stuff, like we haven't been around each other as much, but they were here constantly all the time, coming by to visit, see me, I can't wait till things get better and, we can start being around each other more. Their support was part of our survival. That's what kept us going. Of course, first God was my faith is my greatest strength. Leaning on God, trusting in God, allowing him to bring us through, and the support of the friends that surrounded us, the people, the parents and stuff that were here, and how they took care of us, how they're still taking care of us. I know sometime in the spring, Felicia and Brandon and them, they're having benches installed soon in memory of all the boys. So the community did an awesome job in supporting us. We have a bow that the mothers come around and they change, like when it's a black and orange bow that they put on a pole outside in front of the house, and whenever that bow starts to get dingy and dirty looking, they come by and they change it. So that's the great support that we had from the town. And my amazing siblings, my immediate family, my husband and my children as well, but my siblings have been amazing. There's 6 of us. So I have 5 siblings, and they are all Christians as well. And, you know, they prayed me through some dark days, some dark nights, and I just couldn't survive without my family. My mother-in-law, she was here constantly making sure that we were okay. My biological mom has passed away, and my foster mother, she can't get back and forth as easy. She lives in Boston, but they've all been a tremendous, tremendous support and the anchor that we've stood upon that has helped us to survive. And I'm so grateful for all of them.
And that's amazing. I mean, to Mike's point, the way the town came together,
Yes.
it was something that was unbelievable. And people talk about how polarized society is, and people that. Let me tell you something. I was at all those services, and I can tell you there was black, there was white, there was Spanish, there was Asian, and everybody was crying the same tears, hugging each other. And one woman was so moved by it that she said that she, she was looking to move out of Stoughton because she had made assumptions about what the town was like, and that she didn't feel that it was supportive towards minorities. And then she saw that, and she said, "You know what? I'm staying." Yes, I ran into her before I left the PD about a year ago.
Okay.
She had just bought a house. She says, she says, Officer Jenkins, I'm building roots in this town. And it all started because of what was brought together.
Yep. It's so true. I mean, they were sending us food, bringing us food. I mean, they just made sure that we were so well taken care of. And even now they still, they brought us Christmas ornaments, with the night signs on it. And they've always, it's always been very supportive. I still have parents that I stay in contact with. So, yes, I was amazed. I mean, and, just the fact of, I think at Nick's funeral, there was like 15,000 people, and then like 1,000 people watched online. So, the bus loads of children who came to that funeral, and I know every kid that came, they weren't Nicholas's best friend,
kids from other towns too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even the kids from, I remember the kids from Canton.
The Canton football team came.
Yep, they sent us stuff. I mean, just from all over the place. The elementary schools were doing stuff. Just everybody. So
well, from there, so we talked about that. How did you get from that place, living through a parent's worst nightmare, to where you are now? You're doing some great things.
I think the first thing, like I said, is my faith and my anchor in God. Prayer. I did a lot of therapy. I'm still doing therapy now. I tell people, don't be afraid to do therapy. And if you do therapy, if you lose a child in such a traumatic way, I have a trauma therapist. You want to get with someone because they have there's techniques and tools that they take you through that a normal therapist may not know. So that was some of the things. And the greatest thing I think for me was writing. I encourage people to write what's going on in you, journal, write to your lost child, your lost loved one. If you need to write a letter, take it up to the cemetery, leave it there, bury it there, whatever you have to do, just get your emotions out. Don't stay alone. Get us a great support system surrounded around you, because you're going to need it. Not just in the beginning, you're going to always need it. I know that I can call on any one of my brothers and my sisters. And I also have friends that I can call on at any time, that will support me. You want to surround yourself. I surrounded myself with people who supported me. I filtered out. I learned who had my back. I learned who was going to allow me to grieve the way that I needed to grieve, and not try to get me to grieve their way. Because people, you'd be amazed at some of the things that people will tell you. They'll tell you, get over it. They'll tell you, it's been this many years. you're still, dealing with that, and
Are
everybody.
you kidding me? People told
Yeah.
you to get over it?
That no one has ever said to me directly to get over
I
it.
was going to say, you might need to give me an address.
Not me, but I've had friends. I have a friend recently who lost her son, and people was telling. Someone said to her, she was watching some videos or something. Someone said to her, "Why are you watching those videos? That's not what he would want you to do." And there were videos of him. It's like, how do you know what he would want her to do? First of all, second of all, let her grieve her way. You can't tell people how to grieve. You can't tell people what to do. You got to let them grieve in their own way and in their own time. I don't expect everybody to respond the way that I responded. God, I don't know, me having the anchor of God just gave me strength. And if I can back up a little bit, back around 1998, I went through a severe depression. So bad. I was having anxiety attacks so bad at that time that I literally thought I was having a stroke. Because one side of my body was just going through so much at that time. Tremendous fear. And I was never a person who dealt with fear. Just all kinds of stuff going on. And the church that I was at that time, which was actually New Covenant, which is Jubilee now. I'm at Grace now. But at the time when I was there, the pastor, Bishop Thompson there, he set a foundation within those who were new in the church, and taught us things of how to get into the Bible and how to do this and, how to, encourage yourself and get yourself going, not realizing that those tools would be tools that I would take that would help me to survive this. So me using those tools, he would constantly tell us to read your Bible, stay in prayer. Don't listen to what someone just tells you. Read it for yourself, because you have people who will tell people stuff that's not, Bible based. So he would constantly tell us you need to do the research yourself, which was a great tool. People do need to look for themselves. How many people do they get caught up in cults and different types of things? And you think about Jim Jones and they end up dead because they're following people who, But anyways, yeah. So that's basically where I started. I just basically founded myself in my religion, and that's what got me through.
Now, Ida, like I promised you, we're down to about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. It went by that fast.
Okay.
Tell us about defeating the Giants. Can you sum that up in about 90 seconds or so?
Okay. Defeating the Giants is a page that I created based on the story of David and Goliath. And the same way that David defeated the giant, Goliath, is what I teach people to realize that they can overcome the greatest obstacles before them. With God by their side, they can overcome anything and work through and, build their dreams, build their goals, the visions that are within them. And basically, that's what my page is about. My page is about inspiring people.
So is it like a support group? Can people come there for support as well?
Absolutely.
And how can people find you? Where is that?
If they go onto Facebook or Instagram and you put in @defeating the Giants, the @ letter, it'll bring it up. So if you go to @defeating the Giants on Instagram or Facebook, you will find my page.
So, Ida, clearly you can see the chat. You have made a tremendous impact on so many people before the show. And now, look, you have all these strangers. Some of these people you know, some you don't. Yeah, I'm not crying. You're crying. And Jim, I was on the edge. I was on the edge, man. Like I was close.
I know. I said I was going to try not to cry when I tell them this story, but I had to share that because it was it meant the world to me.
And I thank you so much. I mean, we're up against time here, but Ida, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with everybody, sharing it with everybody in town, and sharing it now nationally here with everybody. Everybody needs to hear your story, and everybody needs to see the grace at which you conduct yourself with, and the courage that you had to move on, reinvent yourself, and help so many other people. So my hat goes off to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You honor me with your presence.
Thank you for having me.
So, folks, that's going to do it. As promised, this was another difficult episode of Difficult Conversations. If you like this episode, please like it. Please share it. Please watch this with your teenagers so they can hear a little bit about how one decision can change lives forever. And like I said, this is something that everybody needs to see. So we'll be back again next week, same time, same place. And as always, #supply the why. Take care, everybody.